Welcome back. Today's lecture will introduce or inaugurate your first major project in our course, and that is creating a degree audit for your college career. Now, one of the most common questions regarding a degree audit is what exactly it entails and how we can identify what we need to do in order to populate it with the necessary information that will give us a successful collegiate career. So let's talk about both of those things for just a few moments. If we were to define a degree audit, it would be an analysis that enables you, the student, and your advisor to assess your academic progress and unfulfilled baccalaureate, or in our case, associate degree or minor requirements. In other words, a degree audit is something that tells you the courses that you'll need to fulfill in order to complete your diploma or degree program, and it will also calculate or list the courses that you've already taken in fulfillment of those requirements. Now, once you've earned 34 credit hours or more generally, you can request an official degree audit through your Rose State account. In order to do that, you'll just click on the Student tab, and on the left, there'll be forms to fill out online that will allow you to obtain a degree audit typically within a few weeks. When you apply to graduate, an audit is automatically conducted on your record. That doesn't mean you can't create informal degree audits with your advisor. And as an advisee, you're responsible for making sure the following things. Number one, you know where to find the information you need to make important academic decisions. Number two, you know the policies that affect you, such as suspension and probations and requirements for your major. And of course, and probably most importantly, you met your requirements for graduation. Every term, there are some important dates to keep in mind as you plot your degree program and diploma completion. Number one is the final day to withdraw or add classes, usually within the first few weeks of the term. The final day to withdraw from the university with a full refund, and that's usually within the first week of class. The last day to withdraw without grade penalties. In other words, the last day that you can withdraw just with a notation that you didn't complete the course, and in lieu of the actual grade that you would have received if you didn't complete the rest of the class requirements. Of course, the holidays and breaks that are observed by the university. It's always a good idea if you either have friends, family members, etc. that go to other local universities or colleges, that you coordinate your holiday breaks with them. For example, Rose State College takes off a full week for the Thanksgiving holiday every year, and that's distinct from some of the other area junior colleges. And of course, your final exam week schedule and what times you'll be required to be there. This is especially important if you have an off-campus job. So with that in mind,
hey guys, so let's step away from the specific study techniques and tactics today and talk about something a little bit more overarching. Graduation. So according to the federal government's education statistics, only about 59% of the students who started college in 2006 graduated within 6 years. Those numbers get even worse when we go down to 4 years. According to a study from College Complete America, only between 19 and 36% of students, based on the type of institution, graduate within that 4-year time period. So why does this happen? Why do so few students graduate on time? Well, there are a lot of factors. The big one, the elephant in the room, is finances, but there are a lot of other ones. Changing majors, changing school, Netflix, Gabe Newell, Steam sales, Sharknadoes, all kinds of stuff. But one of the most common causes, and I think one of the most avoidable, is simply poor planning. And that's why in this quick video, I want to show you the way that I planned my own graduation out and how it helped me graduate in 4 years. So essentially my philosophy since I was a freshman was that my graduation was really in my own hands. Yes, I had an academic advisor and he was great, but I knew that he had hundreds of students that he had to deal with. And the person who was most responsible for me being able to graduate in 4 years was me. That's why every single semester I made sure that I looked over all the graduation requirements. And I mean all of them. General education requirements, major specific requirements, the number of credits I was required to have to graduate, all that stuff, and made sure that I was on track to hit them all. That meant keeping all the requirement documents in my Dropbox and making sure I knew exactly where they were at any given time, but I went beyond that. I actually created an Excel spreadsheet that charted out my entire graduation plan and listed out every class that I intended to take. I also threw a couple of simple formulas in there to add up the numbers of all these credits from the classes I was going to take and make sure that they hit the requirements, both the overall credit limit and the over 300 level credit limit. If you only get one thing out of this video, it's that you should create a similar plan of your own. And if you go to the companion blog post for this video, I've actually included my own plan for you to download and sort of copy off of. And you can find that link down in the description, or you'll find an annotation in the end card after the video is done. The next thing I want to talk about, though, is something that, at least at my school, was called a degree audit. And I know it's called a degree audit at several other schools around the country. Maybe it's called something different at your school, but essentially it was something that I could run on the computer or have my academic advisor run that would show me my exact progress through all my required classes. The cool thing about my school's degree audit system is that you could actually run it for a major you weren't in. And my roommate wanted to switch from computer science to MIS one year, and he thought that it would take him a lot longer to sort of catch up. And after running a degree audit, he found out that he was actually further into the major he wanted to switch into than he was into his own major. So if you have access to any sort of tool like this, I highly recommend running it on a regular basis, and if you don't personally know how to do it, ask your academic advisor. Running regular degree audits and making sure you have an accurate graduation plan that you edit whenever you get a new interest or decide to drop a class you had planned to take is going to help you graduate on time. But there's one other piece of the puzzle that you want to make sure you have, and that is simply signing up for classes on time. Even if you plan well, a lot of times you'll find that classes fill up very quickly, or maybe they're not available during a certain semester. And the best way you can mitigate this is putting a reminder on your calendar to sign up for classes the moment you're able to. I know a lot of people who waited a week or two after their sign-up date to sign up for classes, only to find out the classes they wanted were full. And at best, it's an elective class and you just don't get to take it, you have to find a replacement. But at worst, it's a required class and you end up tacking an extra semester or two onto your graduation date. So, the common thread in all of this? Have a good plan, be vigilant whenever it changes, and make sure you have it updated, and expose yourself to every advantage you can by signing up early. One last thing though. What if you do all of this and still there's a class that you can't sign up for because it's full? Well, one thing you can try doing is testing out of required classes using CLEP tests and other methods. And I could do an entire video on this, but I've actually already done a podcast interview on it with my friend Jay Cross. And if you click the annotation right there or down in the description, you can listen to it. Jay is an expert on this subject, and he actually tested out of an entire year of college classes using these methods. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you got something useful out of it. And like I said, I'll have my own Excel spreadsheet with my graduation plan available for download in the blog post that goes with this video. So hit the link in the description or in the end card if you want to look at it and use it as a template for your own plan. Now,
All right, folks. Just to reiterate or reinforce some of the things that that video blog shared with us. Nearly 60% of college students drop out of college. Now, this doesn't mean that a large majority of those students don't eventually return and finish their degree or diploma programs. But if you're inadequately prepared for the rigors of university or college education, sometimes even the smallest road bumps in your progress towards the completion of a degree or diploma program can stymie your overall success. Now, out of those, we see that nearly 15% earn an associate degree and a bachelor's degree, respectively. 6% remain enrolled, and 5.5% take some time off deliberately. And that's in the first income quintile. In other words, this is within the first year of a college student's tenure at their diploma or degree program granting institution. So how can you make sure that you don't fall into this statistic? Well, as already iterated in the video blog, a careful degree audit at least once a term and carefully registering for classes is often the difference between success and failure. So let's start by looking at some aspects of a degree audit. When you either conduct a degree audit or have one conducted for you by your advisor, there are a couple of very important numbers. Now, you don't necessarily have to know what everything on your degree audit means, but probably the three most important things are, number one, your classification. In this instance, we're looking at a person that transferred from a junior college to a four-year institution, which means they started their enrollment as a junior. Why do we know that? Because you have to be over 64 credits at this institution in order to be considered a junior, and if you'll notice in the bubble, this person has 67.5 total credits. Each of the classes, of course, you know that you take at Rose State College are typically worth about 3 or 4 credit hours. So, for example, to be considered a full-time student, you need to be enrolled in 4 classes or 12 credit hours, and most full-time students take 5 or 15 credit hours. If you're a part-time student, that typically means you're taking between 6 to 9 college credit hours. Also note this person's cumulative GPA. And that means that this person is keeping a 3.4 or just below a B plus average at this time. That's important to note. Some of this person's scholarships and grants are probably impingent upon the fact that they maintain at least a 3 or higher GPA. So ensuring that this person enrolls in the right courses that are going to allow them to curate that GPA to maintain their financial support is an imperative to their overall success. So with that in mind, let's look at this person's English proficiency. According to this, they've applied 9 hours, and that means that they need 3 more credit hours before fulfilling their requirements. Now, if you'll notice, there are lots of classes listed here that they could take. They only have to choose one of those classes, one 3 credit hour class to fulfill those credits, but your degree audit will list all of the classes that you can take. So when you look at a semester course schedule, you can match the classes that will fulfill your requirements to the classes that are being offered, and triangulate those two things with your schedule to know how best to fit your own needs. This would be a comprehensive degree audit. As you can see, general education as well as specialty education or major field requirements are listed in tandem with one another, with large lists of courses based upon their 4-letter designation and their numerals. Typically, the first numeral in any designation, for example, let's look at ENGL 2593. Well, ENGL 2593 means that it's a sophomore level class because it starts with the number 2. The number 1 is for freshman, the number 3 is for junior, 4 for senior, etc., etc. And then it looks like the last number of those 4 digits is a 3. That means that that is a 3 credit hour class. The 2 numerals in the middle are nothing of concern to any of us. They're just internal designations for the department to know which of the courses have been created. And that means that ENGL 2593 is likely the 59th course that has been approved by the Academic Affairs Office in the Department of English. And that's all it means. But our only concern are the first numerals and the last numerals. The 2, which stands for the designation, and the last number, which stands for the number of credit hours you'll receive by taking that course. So, what is a major that you've declared or are considering? Even if you're not absolutely married to that major, consider a major or discipline that you plan on studying here at Rose State. For some, it might be a STEM-based discipline, such as medicine, or a practicum-based discipline, such as nursing. Perhaps you're considering net security or IT technology. Also, consider how many years you're planning to stay in school before you complete your degree or diploma program. For some of you, it might be as few as 2 years, because not only are you planning on taking at least 5 classes every single term, but you're also going to take 2 or 3 classes over the summer and perhaps even 1 winter holiday. For some of you, because you already have a 20 to 30 hour a week job, you really can't muster any more than about 6 to 9 hours a term. So a 4-year schedule is probably a more appropriate and defensible timeline. It doesn't matter what you select. You know your schedule and your limits, both financial and time limits, better than anyone else. But just have that in mind. Now, with that in mind, let me introduce our first assignment. This is called the Map It Out assignment. Its purpose is to help you understand the various courses you'll have to take in order to complete your associate degree or certification program here at Rose State. To complete this assignment, you'll obtain a copy of your degree sheet, and we'll talk about that in just a moment, and then list all the classes that are required for your degree in the table on the following page that will also show you. You'll list those by semester in which you plan to complete them. One of the reasons why you'll want to obtain a degree sheet and a course schedule from your academic advisor is because that person will be able to determine for you what semesters each of the classes that you'll be required to take are being offered by the university or college. So, let's look at this person's degree program. They want to major in an associate's degree in photography. And that means that they'll be receiving an AA, that's an associate degree of arts. Some of you may be receiving an AS, an associate of science. And then you'll also need to record the name of your academic advisor. Those are pretty easy to find. Most of them are going to be on the first floor of whatever building your course majors are in. And then this person records the fact that they need 63 total credit hours. In other words, they need to complete the equivalent of a sophomore education at a baccalaureate program, and they're planning to graduate by the fall of 2020. So what are they planning to do after that? They want to go to UCO and then get a baccalaureate degree in photography. Okay, so that's easy enough to plan out, but here's the trickier part. I've completed the first 2 semesters of this person's Map It Out current enrollment sheet. You'll notice that they are planning on taking 12 credit hours per term, going from the fall of 2018 all the way to the fall of 2019. So in other words, the next 5 semesters to help them complete their degree program. And you'll be required to do the same thing for the entirety of your class schedule. In other words, whether you're planning on being here for 2 years, 8 years, or anywhere in between, you'll want to fill out your degree program sheet on this Map It Out assignment. Notice that this person has listed the class prefix and the name of each class that they'll be taking. Also notice that they are taking a interplay or a mixture of both their major level courses and general education courses. One of the key reasons why they've conducted this Map It Out assignment is so they can determine what the prerequisites are to fulfill their major requirements. For example, look in the spring of 2019. This semester, they're taking a Photography 2 class. But notice that they took a Photography 1 class in the fall of 2018. Fundamentals of Art was taken in the fall of 2018, which probably means it was a prerequisite to the Survey of Art History. So this person is taking an even mixture of both general education and required classes. As you look at your degree audit sheet, it's probably important to note that when you choose courses for each semester, it's always a good idea to plan out your major level courses first. There are often far more general education classes offered each term than there are major level courses. Sometimes there's only one section of a particular course like Photography 2. That means that has to be the only section that's available, and thus the course you absolutely need to enroll in order to complete your degree or diploma program. After that, you can build the rest of your schedule around that one class. For example, if Photography 2 is only offered on a Tuesday and a Thursday in the afternoon, and you know you need to work at least 3 days a week, then that means that you can build the rest of your schedule on Tuesdays and Thursdays with general education courses around that Photography 2 class. That way you can free up Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to fulfill your off-campus work obligations. So, with that in mind, let's just take a look at how our Canvas site has provided the assignments that you'll be completing. Your Map It Out assignment is in the final section in the home page of our Canvas site. As you can see, it has a document that you can download and print out either on your personal PC or a campus PC and print station. Once you've completed that assignment, there's an upload folder right here. You can upload that in one of 2 ways. You can either scan your document, or you can take a picture, 2 pictures in fact, one of the front and one of the back, and then upload it. In other words, there is no requirement to the file type for this upload folder. That'll be due on April the 12th. So that deadline is coming up sooner rather than later. Of course, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me via email, and I'll be more than happy to assist you in completing the assignment. Since this is already the time of the year when you're likely to be meeting with your advisor about next term, and perhaps even the summer session, this is a great excuse to kill two birds with one proverbial stone. I'm looking forward to what some of your majors are, and I'm also looking forward to looking at some of your discussion journals this weekend. In the meantime, if you have any further questions,